Yo, I wanna, teach my learnings here, right? The best way to learn well and know that you've learned something is by teaching it to others. So I'm gonna teach it to my YouTube family right here. So, like I said, I'm reading How to Get Rich by Felix Dennis. It's actually really good. I'm glad that I'm reading it. I'm glad I've sold this so that I was forced to read it before I sold it off tomorrow. Because I didn't read it since I bought it like nearly 3 years ago, probably 2, 3 years ago. But I'm benefiting from from this man's hindsight here. I'd never who knew who he was, but he's the founder of Maxim magazine, and so I want to do one thing. He says, lastly, in any list of reasons not to get rich, we must come to philosophy and the benefits of hindsight. If I had my time again, knowing what I know today, I would dedicate myself to making just enough to live comfortably. So, say 60 or 80 million. And this is back in 2007. And like he even states in the book, the value of money is decreasing fairly rapidly over time due to inflation. So this number could be very different than what he's saying back then. So but this is the statement right here. So, as quickly as I could, hopefully by the time I was 35 years old, I would then cash out immediately and retire to write poetry and plant trees. That's what he says at the beginning of his book. It's a pretty interesting intro. Let's see if I can find it. Here, Portfolio, How to Get Rich. Felix Dennis is the chairman of Dennis Publishing and the founder of Maxim, one of the most successful new magazines of the last decade. His privately owned company publishes The Week, Auto Express, Stuff, Computer Shopper, and Evo, among 50 other magazines and websites. He has written several volumes of poetry that have performed live on stage by the Royal Shakespeare Company. Dennis's other interests include commissioning bronze sculpture, breeding rare pigs, and occasionally eating them, drinking French wine, collecting first edition books, and avoiding business meetings. His greatest ambition is to complete the planting of a native broadleaf forest in the heart of England. His greatest ambition. He has homes in London, Stratford upon Avon, New York City, Connecticut, and the Caribbean island of Mustique. Find out more at felixdennis.com. Interesting. But I want to show you the charts that he shows here. Before I show you the chart, this is what he says in the book. So let's ignore all that and plump for purchasing power in the last quarter of a century as a rough and ready guide. Since 1980, the purchasing power of $1 million in the U.S. has decreased by more than half. And this is in 2007. So in 27 years, nearly 3 decades, the purchasing power has decreased by more than half. In Britain, the purchasing power of 1 million euros in 1980 has decreased by over 60%. So will the inflation rates or the purchasing power, will the inflation rate increase, or will the purchasing power decrease at a greater exponential rate in the next 20, 30 years? I don't know. Will cryptocurrencies really have a great effect in decreasing the purchasing power of nation state currencies? I don't know. I'm willing to bet it will. I'm willing to bet it will make an effect. But so that's what he says. To put it another way, $1.5 million in hard cash back in 1980 would equate in the UK to the spending power of $4 million today. So $1.5 million nearly 30 years ago, it is about worth more than double. So about $4 million today. That's what he's saying here. Which I find interesting because I always thought that millionaire meant that you had $1 million. But in this book, he says, while you might not have been a millionaire technically back then, you would certainly have been the equivalent of one by today's standards. So I guess you're truly a millionaire when you have at least $2 million. I guess that's what he's trying to say. But here's his chart here. Let's see if I can get a good... Oh no, I lost it. There's the chart right there. I don't know if I can get a really good view of it. I might just throw the picture in there. But anyway, he doesn't even say you're rich until you have $2 to $10 million. Then you're the lesser rich. And this was in 2007. So what does that mean in today's standards? If you've got 1 million to 2 million, you're the comfortably wealthy. If you've got 400,000 to 1 million, you're the comfortably off. If you're the 100,000 to 400,000, you're the comfortably poor. That's what he says. So that really changed my standards of really becoming rich. So maybe I should even double this chart here to make it accurate to today's numbers. And this is in wealth measured by cash in hand or quickly realizable assets. So if we're going wealth measured by total assets, true net worth, he doesn't even say you're rich. You're the lesser rich when you have 30 to 80 million in total assets. If you got less than that, you're just wealthy, or you're comfortably off, or you're poor. If you've got 2 to 4 million in total assets. So that's changed my standards big time of what I was considering. So maybe I can throw the pictures in there and add them to this video. But maybe not. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Because the numbers can totally change here. And if you really want to know, you'll go get the book. I had just sold it for 99 cents. Less than $5 on eBay. I'm losing money selling this thing. But what I found interesting is that he states that in the first chapter, people that, what is that, light? People that take government jobs basically assign themselves to never become rich. You'll never be rich working a government job, which I found interesting because my Uncle Jim, he lives in Lamont, and I thought he was pretty rich, and he works for the government. He's like a manager of this water reclamation plant, and for a bunch of different areas. And I always thought he was rich because that was the richest person that I knew personally, really. His neighbor was far more wealthier, though. I had a beautiful home that he was like renovating. He had this cobblestone driveway that would extend for a mile, like literally a mile. It would go to his backyard, and it would lead to a tree house that he had built with chairs made out of sticks formed into a chair, like a rocking chairs and benches and similar, and lighting all over, seeing the trees, and security cameras of at least like I would say at least a quarter of a square mile at least. But it was a beautiful home. And he said he's got murals all in his house. Him and his wife both own businesses. So I want to set that standard for myself to have that. That sounds amazing. He had his own workout place down there. I feel like I said this in a video before. I uploaded the video, I think, on YouTube a while ago of me just going to his house. It's super beautiful. So I want to make that my standard, like that. And that dude's probably in the lesser rich, according to this guy's book right here. But Uncle Jim is probably in the comfortable, is in the poor off or whatever. The comfortably poor section. He's probably in the 100,000 to 400,000. Maybe. Legit, maybe. But basically he says that if you work for a government job, you're basically saying you're not going to be rich. So yeah, just thought I'd share little tidbits of knowledge with you guys. Some of my own personal revelations. I gotta finish this book. I've been reading for almost 2 hours. I'm only in that little section there. Gotta finish this before early. I plan on kind of working at some point. I gotta go to FedEx and get the stuff fixed. All right, guys. Peace.